Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back to For the Win. It is December 16th, Thursday. This is going to be one of the best NFL weeks ever. We have games on Thursday. We have games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Welcome back, everyone, to For the Win. Like I said, we have friends and family here. We are part of the BMR family. I'll introduce Donnie, the right side. He is one of the sharpest, most intelligent minds in the industry. Thank you, Donnie Rightside, for jumping on. Look at it. Look at his reaction there. Dead Press picks the one and only, the GOAT there at the bottom left. And then Alpha Dog Bets, one of my best friends, all of our best friends. He is out there as well in New York City. And then you have myself, AC Analytics Capper. All right, let's get into last week's recap, Wizard. It was an awesome week of games. There's going to be a lot of games that we're going to touch on. First is last Thursday. I'll start with Donnie Rightside. Steelers and the Vikings. This ended up being a really high-scoring game, 36-28. The Vikings pulled it out at home. What are your thoughts about this one?
It was an interesting one. I thought the Vikings were the better team, obviously, overall in that game. Dalvin Cook looked like he was shot out of a cannon, but I was sitting there at the half going, yeah, I gave out a team total on the Steelers over 19.5. They don't even have a single point. What an idiot I am. Big time in the second half. Everything just about cashed in that game. Favorite on the Vikings, total going over, team totals both sides. It was an entertaining game to watch, certainly in the second half, and the Steelers charged back and almost won the game. Amazing.
All right, before I get to you, Alpha Dog Bets and that crazy Ravens-Browns game last week, I do want to thank Bookmakers Review. Please check us out on YouTube, subscribe, like us, definitely follow us on all of our social media accounts. Please spread the word. We do this every Thursday live at 6 p.m. Eastern for the Win NFL show. All right, Alpha, that game there, Ravens-Browns, it ended up being pretty ugly because Lamar Jackson got hurt early in that first half, but the Browns pulled it out. They scored 0 points in the second half. I repeat, 0 points in the second half, and still won 24-22. Alpha, what are your thoughts?
Man, let me tell you, that was the most frustrating game of the weekend by far for me. It was the only game I lost on Sunday. I had the under 43. So as you know, they kicked the field goal, got the onside kick, and scored a touchdown, all of that to bring that over the total. So a little frustrating there, but it was a good win by the Browns, and let's see if they can keep it rolling.
All right, Dead Press picks. All right, this game here was a blowout. Are the Chiefs legit Super Bowl contenders now? Did they kind of shake the bad defense from early in the year? Is that offense back? They beat the Raiders 48-9, a shellacking at home in Kansas City. Dead Prez, Chiefs Super Bowl tickets or no, not yet?
Yes, sir. Yep. I mean, I was on the comeback of the Chiefs, was able to actually get them to win the division at minus 120 at one point. Big game tonight, obviously, that will tell how that will play out in a large way. But, I mean, just a dominant effort there at home. And just, the defense, that's just been the thing. We didn't know they had this in them defensively. They've been able to flip their season around. But for sure, legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about the Chiefs really, really briefly, because we're going to get into them tonight for sure. But I think those defensive numbers are a little misleading. They've been playing some really cupcake teams, and they've been very fortunate from a defensive perspective to play in bad weather, which is always going to help those numbers. Dead President, I'm going to stick with you. This game here, this was a beautiful moment. We had some tragedy struck the NFL last week with Demaryius Thomas. But the Broncos came out and started with only 10 men on the field with the number 88 right there on the Jumbotron. It was a beautiful display from the Broncos. But they went up to win this game super easy, 38-10. I believe they were one of the biggest favorites of the week, and they covered quite comfortably. Any thoughts, reactions to this, Dead?
Yeah, like you said, AC, awesome moment there. Obviously, a super sad event went down. But the Broncos, again, they're right there as far as that playoff hunt is concerned. Again, 7-6, that the AFC, it's wide. It's crazy. The Bills at this point are 7-6 too, right? Like they're kind of in that same position.
Yeah.
They're right there. Big time win. I was on the Broncos. One of the favorites that I had this week, although, we were heartbroken by a few there, AC, this week. The Broncos didn't break our heart. They hung on to that cover. And I mean, they did what they're supposed to do against the Detroit Lions at home.
Donnie Rightside, we're going to get into this team tonight. They are playing the Chiefs, but the Chargers took care of business against Alpha Dog Bets, resident Giants fan there. 37-21. Justin Herbert looks like the next Dan Marino out there in Los Angeles. But any thoughts to this? Were there any surprises to this game for you?
No surprises there. I mean, the Giants basically just playing out the string. You're just trying to decide who your GM is going to be next year, and maybe that GM is going to make a head coaching change because it's not going to get any easier. Look, when you're running out Glennon as your quarterback, you can't expect too much. I don't care what weapons you have on the outside, who's healthy or not. It all starts with the quarterback position. Doesn't look like Daniel Jones will get back, but thought the Chargers played well. They sit at 8-5. They'll be in the playoffs this year. I also have a small ticket in my pocket. We're actually rooting for Kansas City tonight because that ticket will cash if the Chargers make the playoffs, but make the playoffs as a not winning the division, but as a wild card team at a plus 115. So sort of rooting that on tonight with them to lose, but still win out. They're a good football team, though.
All right, Alpha Dog Bets, we give you time every single week to talk about your New York Football Giants. They lost again last week. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't need the time. I'm so over this team. I need a new GM. I need a new coach. Put Fromm in the game. Stop putting Mike Glennon in the game. And make good decisions. Special teams, everything is just atrocious for this team. I have absolutely nothing to say. I am fed up with the New York Football Giants.
All right, let's stay with you there, Alpha. This ended up being one of the best games of the weekend. It started off as a blowout, but the Bucs and the Bills, this was 33-27 at, in overtime. Perriman caught the ball, ran it all the way for a walk-off touchdown. Hurt me because I was on the Bills. But let's talk about this game. It ended up being awesome, right, Alpha?
One of the most exciting games of the year. I mean, who doesn't like an overtime, back and forth, tons of points? It was just an exhilarating game. The only concerns I'd have if I was a Bucs fan is they did let the Bills get back in it when essentially they should have won this game pretty easily. But it was a good performance by the Bills late in the game as well to make it a game. So both teams executed. Neither team executed for a full game, but it was definitely exciting.
Donnie, Dead Press kind of alluded to this earlier, but the Bills are only 7-6, basically the same record as the Broncos. There's a lot of teams 6-7, 7-6. Do you think the Bills can really rise up to the cream there and be the cream of the crop there, or do you think they're going to be disappointed this year?
I think they're going to end up being disappointed, but the fact of the matter is they're going to be in the playoffs. I mean, they sit there at 7-6. Oh my goodness, they have 3 easy wins at home, so they're going to have 10 wins here. Can maybe have a chance to get 11 if they can beat the New England Patriots, but they won't be favored against the Patriots in New England here. But they'll be in the playoffs if they're healthy. They're just as good as anybody else. But the problem is no running game. Once you get to the playoffs, colder weather conditions, windier conditions, and we saw how that treated them when they played Indianapolis and New England. It wasn't good.
All right, Dead Press Picks. If you look at the top right of our screen, we have a total record last week, best bets of 8-4. Our best bets right now are on fire. I'm actually holding it back. I had a 1-2 week last week, and one of the bets that lost was Justin Fields' Chicago Bears. I was on the team total under. They actually ended up with 30 points. The Packers beat the Bears 45-30, including, I believe, 45 points in the second quarter alone between these two teams. What are your thoughts on this, Dad? This ended up being a barn burner on Sunday night.
Yeah, it was a wild game, guys. I went into that game with my Bears ticket plus 12.5. I jumped on the Packers live, and it fell to like that 115, 120 range. So I was going for a middle. I was a little upset the Bears couldn't pull off that cover late in the game, but it was just a tale of two halves. I mean, their offense has died out. The special teams of the Green Bay Packers, I know that's been kind of their one kryptonite this season. It was horrible in that first half. So the Bears were able to kind of make some plays I didn't really think they could. Justin Fields looked good in that game, especially in that first half. But, I mean, Aaron Rodgers took over, and like you said, he owns the Chicago Bears, and he did so again this weekend.
All right, fast forward to Monday night. This was actually one of my favorite games of the week. From a betting perspective, it was awesome for me. I just hit all the player props as well as the Rams. And I think a lot of us were on the Rams as well. Donnie Rightside, are the Cardinals a team that needs to worry? Their offense did not look great on Monday.
Yeah, a little bit too many turnovers there. Kyler Murray ended up throwing for 383 yards, but you can't, from the opening outset, they drive down and get the field goal. They drive down, look like they're going to punch a touchdown, and that one tip ball by Aaron Donald changed the entire fortune of that game. Matthew Stafford looked great, which is exactly what you need the Rams to do moving forward. But again, the picture on the Cardinals here, they're 10-3. They're still a good football team, but now you're going to fight against the Green Bay Packers. We have that tiebreaker going up against you, and also DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out for the year. That's a devastating loss for them. Things aren't looking up here for the Arizona Cardinals.
All right, let's get into this week's slate, Wizard. That was a great recap. Alpha, I'll start with you. It's Thursday night. It's a big game. Chiefs, Chargers. The Chargers already beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. This is a rematch. AFC West divisional bout. Give me your thoughts on this game.
Guys, I only have one play on this game right now, and I love it. It's the over 54. Both of these offenses are clicking on all cylinders, and they're both taking the top off the defense. They both have home run threat. So we saw last week with the Chargers against the Giants. I mean, the Giants could do absolutely nothing against the air attack, and the Chiefs' passing game is coming back to the way it was in that running game. When they're getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire back, has opened up the passing game, and that team looks completely different now. I know the defense has done great work for Kansas City, but I think tonight's going to be a shootout. I see Kansas City getting up early, and all game the Chargers will have to throw to get back into it. So give me the over, sitting at 54 at the moment.
All right, on a similar note, I do kind of lean the over there as well. As far as the player prop market, I love Eckler. I think Austin Eckler to the moon today. But I want to ask Donnie Rightside. I mean, he's always up to date when it comes to injuries and practices. Is Keenan Allen a go tonight?
Keenan Allen is a go tonight, and also getting back to your point there on Austin Eckler, he's going to be a game-time decision, so it's going to be a tough one to see that he might go out there and play and give it a go. But anytime you need to say, hey, I got to see you run around in warm-ups to see if you're healthy and active for this game, that might be a tough one here for Eckler. But I do agree with the Alpha as well. There's going to be points in this game. I mean, we had 52.5 this morning. Now it's up to 54. I think both of these teams press the gas pedal, and there are some pretty good points that we're probably going to make here coming up on Kansas City. I heard you talking about it, AC, where that defense, yeah, it's been really good, but I think there's some reasons why they can be beat tonight.
For sure. Dead Price Picks, let's go to you. What are your thoughts on tonight's Thursday night football game?
Yeah, I love KC tonight, boys. I've been riding the hot streak to keep it up.
Little opposite of me, Dad.
I usually don't bet like that, AC. But the thing is it's so tough to beat a team 2 times in a season, right? And the Chargers beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. This is a massive game, as we know, guys, for the division. Donnie got into it. The Chargers, I think both these teams will see in the playoffs, but I think Kansas City still wins this division. I think this game tonight kind of puts the nail on the coffin. And, that first game they played, guys, if you remember, the first 3 drives of the game for the Chiefs, they turned the football over. And they probably should have won that game. Like, they had a lot of chances to win. They had the ball with a chance to go down and get a field goal. And Patrick Mahomes turned the football over. So I don't think they turn it over that many times again tonight. I think if they can avoid the turnover completely, which is very possible with the way their offenses looked, and this team hasn't lost since before Halloween. They're rolling again. I think they're back to their Super Bowl caliber. And now I agree, they haven't played the best offenses, but I still think their defense has improved. So I'm going to ride with the Chiefs tonight. I think the Chiefs are a fantastic pick, and I think they do get it done tonight.
All right, Donnie, I want to apologize to you. Dad, I want to apologize to you, but I love the Chargers tonight. When it comes to that home divisional dog, I'm just going to ride with the Chargers. One thing I will say, though, the Chargers have been very, very lucky when it comes to the turnover battle. It was a close game against the Bengals a couple weeks ago until the fumble that kind of changed and flipped that game. But I do want to point that out. Okay, we do have a special guest. I want to make sure everybody gets ready for this, hype this up. One of our good friends, We Beat the Spread. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on today. It's
awesome.
It's a great opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Okay, we're going to get right into it. Saturday. So we do have 2 games on Saturday. The first one is the Raiders and the Browns. The Browns right now are dealing with COVID-related issues. They may or may not have a quarterback, but a lot can change in 2 days. We beat the spread. How are you going to cap this game?
Yeah, so you mentioned the quarterback, obviously. Baker out is a pretty big deal to me. But Keenum, he's at least opportunistic, I'd say. He isn't necessarily a horrible backup. He's used to be on my Vikings. He did all right there. He went 13-3 in one season. So he's a pretty good backup. But I mean, then you look at the rest of who is out, Landry, Hooper, left tackle Wills is out, guard Wyatt Teller. So, I mean, you have a lot of injuries there. I think it's going to be pretty tough for the Browns, who have already been somewhat struggling. They almost lost to the Ravens last week. That was a really close game, came down to the wire with the Ravens backup in. And then the game before that, they actually did lose to the Ravens, only putting up 10 points. And then they barely beat the Lions the game before that. So, I mean, this is an offense who has been struggling. Especially with the injuries tonight. I really do like the Raiders here in this spot. Waller is still questionable, so that would be something that would be a watch for me. If Waller is in, though, I definitely love the Raiders in this spot. With a pretty close line. I'm seeing -1 in most spots, but I definitely say it's a play for me on the Raiders. They have a really good passing game, and that Browns secondary right now is depleted. They have a few corners out, so I think this is definitely a game Carr can get out, use Renfro a lot, and if Waller is in, then they can also use Waller. I think I will go with the Raiders here.
For sure, man. I do think the Raiders have a good shot in this game. So many injuries in this one, guys. There's so many different variables to look into. One thing that I like to say right now is I'm kind of hesitant to place all my bets until we get a little bit closer to the actual games. With all the COVID news and everything else, it's hard to keep track right now of all the guys that keep getting ruled out throughout the day. Seems like it's more and more every day, guys. So right now, I definitely think that's a good play. But like you said, a lot of this depends on Darren Waller and a lot of other pieces playing. So I would wait to see the injury news on that one.
All right, Donnie, you and I are a little older than these three guys. We've been around the block a little bit more. But one thing I'll say is we haven't really dealt or handicap when it comes to COVID-related issues. I'm going to give you this question, Donnie. How are you going to view this game and games forward for the remainder of the season with this health pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, so many things we talk about, guys, is beating the line. And, like, you have to be a chameleon, as I say in this business, where each and every year you got to change up what you do. So many times in the past, I would fire on team totals on a Monday and Tuesday saying, I'm not going to lose this number. It's 17.5 or 19.5 or 20.5, and I know this is going to go higher. There's no use. There's no use right now. And actually, gives me a little bit more time off on Mondays and Tuesdays because I'm not locking anything in. The last thing I want to do is be like, I love this game, I bet it, and then you wind up with that situation like the Browns where 21 players and counting are out, and they're down to their third string quarterback in this one. So if you're looking at a game just on Saturday afternoon with Cleveland, rainy conditions, windy conditions, nobody on offense available outside Nick Chubb. So what are they going to do? Give him the ball 45 times? That clock is going to keep churning. You look for an under in that situation, but I don't see any way possible. You can't just be contrarian and say, well, I'm going to bet Cleveland. If they don't have, you need players to win football games. And if you don't have players, you're not going to win football games. It can only be the Raiders or nothing for me.
Yeah, 20 plus players is a third of their team out. And like Donnie said, that list is growing. So definitely wait until Saturday, right before kickoff. He mentioned that that's the early game on Saturday. We beat the spread. Let's get into the late game. This could be the game of the week, right? We have the Patriots traveling to the Colts. What are your thoughts on this game? Is it a good Carson Wentz game, or is it going to be a bad one?
I'll tell you what, right after I watched that crazy Patriots-Colts game, where Mac Jones threw, three passes the entire game. Right after I watched that game, I said, okay, the Patriots, they're on an insane run. They just can't seem to lose. There's one thing I usually like to do in this spot, and it's once they get on the road and, it's a tough game, I like to usually fade them because, I mean, what are they going to do? Win out the rest of the year? They might as well. But I think this is a very good spot to actually fade them. I will be taking the Colts here, -2.5. I think that Jonathan Taylor is going to be key in this game. I mean, the Patriots, they have an okay run defense, but I mean, they're more, in the pass game for defense. And I think that the Colts can really exploit that run defense. Jonathan Taylor is very elusive. He can really use a lot of different things. And, the Patriots will try to stop him, I'm assuming, by stacking the box. But I mean, Jonathan Taylor's really good, not just running straight up the middle. He's really good on the edges too. The Colts lead the league. The Colts lead the league right now in open field blocking. And the Patriots actually, surprisingly, are a bottom 5 team against blocking in the open field. So I think we aren't just going to see Jonathan Taylor getting down in the middle. I think we're going to see a lot of passes to the outside. And I think we're going to actually see a lot of, I think we're going to see a very, very tight run game from the Colts here. I think they'll run it all. So which means that could actually open up a better opportunity for the under here because, the Patriots might just go again with that run game. Obviously, it worked for them against the Bills. I mean, how do you win a game against the Bills throwing 3 passes? I mean, I think they might go with a very similar thing, just run Harris a lot, run Stevenson a lot. So we might see a very, just a complete clash of heads in the run game. But I do like the Colts here. I think the Patriots at some point have to, not necessarily the wheels falling off the wagon, but I think they got to at least drop one. This is a tough spot for a young quarterback on the road. Like you said, it's the game of the week. All eyes are going to be on Mac Jones. and this is a big game for him. And the Colts actually are number 1 in turnovers on defense. And you have a rookie QB going on the road. I think this is a good spot. I think the Colts get a few turnovers and slam Taylor.
Absolutely.
And they do cover.
Yeah.
I agree.
I like the Colts a lot in this spot, guys. Minus 2.5, 2. It's kind of been back and forth, but Mac Jones. I said this last weekend, and I was wrong. He hasn't lost a road game yet. I thought he was
6-0.
I thought he was going to lose in Buffalo, but in his entire NFL career, he's been in the league for a year, but. I mean, this is my guy, Carson Wentz. This is when he takes over in this game. I agree with you about
your guy, Carson Wentz.
I said the same thing.
My goodness.
He's still my guy. But the thing is the Colts, they're number 2 in the NFL, right in rushing behind me and Donnie's Philadelphia Eagles. But the thing is that the play action game for Carson Wentz, I think, will be there in this spot. So he's going to have to be great in this game. The Patriots, I think, are going to be able to – you're not going to stop the run game with Jonathan Taylor, but if they limit it, it's going to force Wentz to have to step up. I think he does step up in this game. This Colts team they're a really good team, right? I mean, they started the season with some tough losses, specifically that loss to Baltimore, if you guys remember that. I don't know if that was I think it was a Monday night game. Really bad loss. So this is a team that's going to be right there. They're going to be a playoff team. I think this is a great pick, and I think the other thing is, and I think we'll talk about this as the show goes on, the public had a historic week last week. Who's not betting the Patriots right now? So I think this could be a really good side to take the Colts in, even though they're a favorite on, betting standards. I can't imagine it ends up that way from, how much money comes in on the Patriots. So I'm going to go with the Colts here, boys.
Yeah, that is why I kind of premised that question to Ben to slam. We beat the spread there. Like, are we going to get a good Carson Wentz or a bad Carson Wentz? Because I kind of agree with some of your points. One thing I do disagree is I think Bill Belichick is going to be able to take out Jonathan Taylor, which is going to force Carson Wentz to make at least 5 to 6, elite level throws to win and beat them. So this is a game where Bill Belichick is going to play not to lose. He's going to play to really put the game in Carson Wentz's hands. All right, Alpha, let's get into Sunday really quick. We have the Titans and the Steelers here. The Titans are traveling on the road to Pittsburgh. This is a very interesting game, I would say. Right now, they started off as a favorite, I believe, in some books, and now the Titans are -1.5, -1. There's still a lot of injury-related news when it comes to Tennessee, but what are your thoughts on this game?
Guys, this is such an under for me. I absolutely love that spot in this game. Both teams will be missing some guys, and offensively, neither team has done particularly well in the last few weeks. I know Pittsburgh played a good game last week, but besides that, they've really struggled to move the ball, especially throwing the ball. They've ran it okay, but both teams, I don't see being able to get over that 43 mark. This is actually one of my favorite plays of the week, and I'll take this a little bit early, and I see this going under pretty comfortably.
I actually love that play, Alpha. I think that's very sharp, especially outside in cold weather, windy, potentially wet conditions. I'll go to the beat the spread here. He wanted to make a few comments on this game, and then we're going to have to bid him farewell. So thank you so much, beat the spread.
Yeah, thank you. All I wanted to say about this one is that Mike Tomlin, man, he's an absolute dog, quite literally, when they are underdogs, because they are an underdog in this spot. It's a very small spot. It's only
the
plus
spread
1.
with some jokes.
But I mean, he's 13-3 as a home underdog in his career. I mean, that's pretty insane to me. And that's telling of how he coaches. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a coaching war here between Vrabel and Tomlin, both very good coaches. And the Steelers, holy crap. I really agree with the under because, I mean, we saw that run defense absolutely get blown up by Dalvin Cook. And so I think with Derrick Henry being out is huge for this because they're not going to be able to rely on him. I mean, they could have essentially just done the same thing and pounded the ball with Henry, just like how Dalvin Cook. But, I mean, when you take away the Henry aspect of it, this really opens up the game a lot for the Steelers. I like them in this spot. They showed a lot of fight in that comeback against the Vikings. And I think that that's really actually telling to how this team is because a lot of people were giving up on Ben Roethlisberger, but I think now it's pretty important that we did see that fight from him. They got a really close win against the Ravens. The Titans, the offense is just not doing it for me right now. They had 4 turnovers. They actually got 4 turnovers and barely turned them into any points against the Jaguars. They only put up 20 points. They were able to win 20-0. But I mean, in my opinion, you should be putting up more points on a Jaguars defense, especially if you're handed 4 turnovers. They put up only 13 a week before that. The offense isn't really clicking. So I really agree with that under, but I also think that's a good spot for the Steelers because I think they will be able to use Najee Harris, and I think they'll be able to get out in that dog spot where they've been so profitable, 13-3. I think they can make that 14-3. Tomlin showed he can do very well at home when the odds are stacked against him.
All right. Thank you so much. We beat the spread. I want to give, our thanks here from the BMR family. We'll talk a lot about the games offline, but thank you so much for jumping on this week. Everybody give them a round of applause. Great job. Beat the spread. All right. Let's get into the next game, and I'll start with Dead Prez picks. I was going to give this to Donnie, but I already gave him the Giants game for last week. I don't want to give him this one as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's Mike Glennon. There's not much analysis, but my question to you is, Dak did not look good in Washington last week. Should the Dallas Cowboys fans be concerned with how Dak is playing as of late?
Yeah, see, he hasn't really looked good the last few weeks, right? I mean, his play has regressed a lot from what it was because he was at MVP caliber that first month plus. I wouldn't necessarily be concerned, but it has fallen off at an inopportune time, right? As long as he can get back to what he was, when the playoffs come around. All of a sudden, though, you see, are the Dallas people sweating about our Eagles coming up on them here in the division?
Is that a joke? Is that a serious question? We're not even looking behind us. We're looking in front of us. We're looking at the number 1 seed in the NFC. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, they're not. I still, I'll still hate on the Cowboys every chance I get. I don't think they'll get to that 1 spot AC, but they should beat Mike Glennon and company by 10 plus this week. So, like you said, it's very difficult to analyze a New York Giants game at this point because what do you have to say about them? Sorry, Alpha. I would say that I'm going to go with the Cowboys on the side of this one.
All right, Donnie, I'm not going to have you comment on this game, but I do want you to comment on just the playoff structure. Not many people realize that the structure has changed a little bit in recent years. There's only one team that gets a first-round bye now. So, per conference. I know the Cowboys are still a game and a half out of it, but do you think they have a chance being in the NFC East?
The Dallas Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. I mean, Washington, Philadelphia, and New York, they're not going to catch them. So you are looking more towards the playoffs, which is very interesting because the playoff structure, you're right. To get that number 1 seed, you get that extra bye week, which nobody else is going to get. You only get 1 per conference. But keep in mind here, this is going to play out through the rest of the regular season. Now with the NFL, what about maybe a decade ago, shifted over to those final 2 weeks of the season where you're supposed to be playing your conference opponents. Last game of the season, the Philadelphia Eagles play the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys won't have anything to play for. That might actually help the Philadelphia Eagles get into the playoffs. So some interesting stuff coming down the wire here, specifically in the NFC East.
All right, Donnie, we're going to stick with you. Later that Sunday, the Falcons are traveling to San Francisco. The 49ers are playing a lot better as of late. They're 7-6. They're 6-7 against the spread. They've only covered 2 of the 6 games at home, but do you think they're going to cover this Sunday?
It's interesting because you're up to 9.5 at some outlets right now, and that over-under sits at 46.5. Atlanta also, you pretty much resurrected their season here. Now, they don't have the weapons. I don't think have the defense, obviously, that San Francisco does. But is there any reason to believe that if Atlanta doesn't win this game, they can stay around a touchdown in this one? The line looks a little bit strong for me. If I had 7 or less, probably looking towards the San Francisco 49ers. But I'll lean on the Atlanta Falcons in this game. Just give me a cover. I don't even need you to win, guys.
All right. How about you, Alpha? Do you think it's going to be a Niners cover? Or do you think the Falcons keep it close? I will say props to Cordell Patterson. He's like a fantasy monster out there. He makes that team completely different. So what are your thoughts, Alpha?
Guys, I'm on the Falcons in this one, and I think 10 points is too much. I think the game will end by less than 10 for sure. The Falcons have been competitive. They were even competitive with the Buccaneers a few weeks ago until the very end when in garbage time they really blew it open a little bit. But the Falcons are staying in games. Their run attack has been amazing, and they're utilizing Patterson in the screen game as well. So I like this one to stay close. I don't think that San Francisco has the best offense. I think they lean heavy on their defense, so I think it'll be low scoring, and it'll stay somewhat close, so we'll cover that margin.
Beautiful. All right, we're going to move ahead here. Dead Press picks to 2 teams that are 7-6, just, in playoff contention, in the discussion. Cincinnati traveling to the Denver Broncos. Broncos, like I mentioned earlier, did come off a very, very convincing win. But right now, they're only about 2.5, 3-point favorites. you know, in the long term, if you're taking those short favorites at home, it is not very profitable. If you look at this year, I believe the numbers, they're at 6 and 15 for favorites that are -1, -1.5, -2, and -2.5. So what are your thoughts on this? Is it a Bengals play for you?
Yeah, guys, I like the right. They're 7-6, but they're right there and winning that division. That AFC North is insane, and it's going to come down to that final week. So they're sitting right there. Obviously, they're right in this thing. Again, guys, make sure you keep an eye on all the injury reports, the COVID stuff, a bunch of stuff continuously popping up. But for me, guys, Bengals coming off that heartbreaking loss a week ago in overtime, kind of looked like they might be able to win that thing. They were driving, they ended up getting the field goal, and obviously we know the 49ers walked it off on them. But I'm a big fan of this Bengals team. I think that they win this one. I'm a little thrown by this line, though, guys. I feel like 2.5 is a lot, so it's somewhat scaring me off. But I'm going to trust the team who I think is the better team, who has more playmakers, who can make more plays in this game. So give me the Cincinnati Bengals as dogs this week.
All right, Donnie Rightside. If I were to look at the schedules before the season started, this game I would definitely circle, right? Green Bay Packers going to Baltimore, but it's kind of lost its luster, not because the teams are playing poorly, but there's a lot of injuries, right?
Yeah, Baltimore, it seems like they're spiraling out of control with injuries as well, and obviously Lamar Jackson. Now, the problem here is, ask yourself, like, Huntley filled in actually admirably last week, throwing 38 passes in this game and bringing them back on the brink of coming back. So if you look at that from a perspective where he's healthy out here, you know, decent arm, he could run around the pocket. Do we really want Lamar Jackson out saying, hey, I can't do what I usually do, but I'm going to try to be a pocket passer? I don't want anything to do with that. Now, also, looking at the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, who had an impressive performance on offense versus the Bears, the only issue he said after the postgame presser, hey, I hurt my toe again, and it's a little bit more banged up. I can't go with the Baltimore Ravens, even though they're so good at home. If Lamar Jackson isn't healthy, but he is playing, I don't see that offense doing very much against the Green Bay Packers. I'll take the Packers here to win this game and cover the 5.5.
All right, Alpha, I know you're very high on the Packers. I believe they are your front runners when it comes to the Super Bowl. I mentioned this. There's only one team in each conference that is going to get that the number one seed with a first-round bye. The Green Bay Packers are sitting at 10-3. Do they take this game on Sunday and move forward and get that number one seed, in your opinion? You're on mute there, my friend.
You're muted, bro.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I think they for sure do cover this line, guys. I think the Ravens secondary is really going to struggle with the deep ball against the Packers receivers. We saw it last week in the second quarter and third quarter. Aaron Rodgers absolutely took it over the top against the Bears. And I see something similar in this one. I don't think the Ravens will be able to keep the ball. I think they're going to continuously have to punt the ball and try and play a field position battle. And that should not work with Aaron Rodgers. I think the Packers get these guys by at least a touchdown.
All right, Dead Press Picks, we're moving to Sunday night. Just a reminder for everyone, there are games on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday this week. So this is the Sunday night football game. The Saints are traveling to Tampa Bay to play Tom Brady and the Bucs. This is a steaming home favorite right now. I believe it's -11 $. I know that's not your style. I know you see the value in dogs. Which side are you on in this game?
Yeah, I love the Saints in this one, guys. We do have to remember, we do have to remember what happened the first time these teams went there, right? I mean, the Jameis Winston took care of business. Obviously, he's not coming through that door. The Saints have had a lot of issues at the quarterback position, but for whatever reason, Tom Brady struggles against the Saints defense historically. I do think Tampa wins this game, wins the division, and takes care of business there. But no, I am not laying double digits on them at home. For some reason, I don't know. I know last year they were really bad at covering at home as a big favorite, but I don't feel comfortable backing them in the spot. Going to be a bunch of backdoor chances for the Saints. I think that they'll be able to score enough. We know that the Bucs secondary isn't great, so they're going to have to throw the football well in this game. But like I said, for whatever reason, Tom Brady, when he sees the Saints defense, he has struggled. So I think they keep it close enough and cover this 11.
Okay, Alpha. So you and I are pretty good friends off the camera as well. We talk about angles when it comes to player props, especially in primetime football games. No commitments here because there will be a lot of injury-related news and COVID news before Sunday night. But do you see any angles in the player props market in this game?
I'm going to be honest. I'm pulling the game up here, and there aren't any offered on any of my books right now. It looks like on these. I think they're kind of hesitant with putting player props up right now because we still don't know who's going to go. I'm a big fan of Godwin right now, guys. He's blowing his targets prop every week. The last 3 weeks, he's been blowing past it. So I'm probably going to ride that again this week, but I need to see the numbers before I can make a decision.
All right, Donnie, we're moving to Monday night here. We have the Vikings who arguably are the best 6-7 team in the National Football League, and the Chicago Bears, who showed some life last week on offense. Minnesota traveling to Chicago, potential bad weather. It's always windy there in December. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, usually I'll be looking towards maybe a home dog in this situation with the Chicago Bears. I thought they played well last week against Green Bay, but the bottom fell out in the second half. But also now you're having a COVID outbreak, or a mini COVID outbreak here on the Chicago Bears. Allen Robinson now has just been placed on the COVID-19 list, so it doesn't get any better. And Minnesota, to me, they're very good at beating up on bad defenses, and the Bears don't have a very good defense anymore with all those injuries here. I'm telling you, Dalvin Cook looked like those 2 weeks off where his shoulder injury hurt. He looked amazing last week. Who's to say he's not going to get 15 touches in this game, run for $145, and they're just going to run away here? As much as I'm not a huge Kirk Cousins guy, in the regular season against bad defenses, he's a very good quarterback, and he should be Monday night. Minnesota should win this game.
All right, Dead Press Picks, Minnesota, as well as the Eagles. These type of teams are vying for the last 2 spots in the playoffs. Do you think Minnesota wins this game pretty comfortably on Monday to catapult them into that discussion?
Yeah, I'm opposite here, guys. I like the Bears to actually win this one outright, which I don't think I've said often this season. But I'm going to take them in Chicago with the points. I just feel like this is a good spot for them to pull it off. They impressed me last week with what they can play offense, and the Minnesota Vikings, for whatever reason, they just don't like to win or lose by more than 3 points. So, I mean, you guys mentioned that Steelers game. It was in the bag. I actually turned the game off at one point because I just thought it was over. And
yeah, we all texted you. We were like, hey, turn your TV back on.
Yeah. I mean, I was celebrating my Vikings win. You guys scared me. And, I mean, if that ball was caught in the end zone, the Vikings were not covering that game. And it was that close to being a catch. So, for a lot of reasons, guys, I do not trust Kirk Cousins primetime. I do not trust the Vikings covering. They might win it. They'll probably win by 1, but I'll take it within 3 or 3.5.
I definitely don't blame you on that, man. I like that as well. I see it the same way you do. Guys, it is time for everyone's favorite part of the show. Let's jump into best bets and go over what we got cooking.
Hot, guys. We are
hot. We've won, I believe, 5 straight weeks. Let's make it a 6th week again, guys. I'll start. My first best bet, guys, is going to be the Packers -5. Went over the reasons why earlier. Then I'm taking the Colts -2.5. I think that they're going to beat the Patriots, even though the Patriots keep rolling. And give me that Titans Steelers under 43. Love that play this week as well. Dead Prez, what are your picks this week?
All right, boys. I'm going to start here with tonight's game, the Kansas City Chiefs. I bought the hook here, -2.5. I think that they get revenge. I think they're too good to lose twice to these Chargers, and they kind of settle down this division. I think they keep rolling.
Dead. I'm going to call you out. If you think that they're going to take care of business, why did you have to buy the hook?
Yeah, because you know what I see? Sometimes you win by 3, right?
Okay.
Sometimes you get that. They have one of the best kickers in the game. But you can take alternate -20.5 too, boys. I think they'll get to that too. Colts -2.5. I talked about this for a lot of reasons, guys. I think it's a great fade spot on the Patriots who have been flying high. Mac Jones finally loses a game on the road, and I think the Colts take care of business. Big game for Carson Wentz. And then my final play, guys, I'm going to go to Buffalo here on the first half. This is a team who has all of a sudden started struggling this season. Kind of out of nowhere, they were one of the Super Bowl favorites for a large portion of this season. I love them first half here against the Carolina Panthers. I watched that. I was on the Panthers last week against Falcons. That offense is god-awful. There's no one who can get it done, at that quarterback position. So give me the Bills. They come out hot here, boys. Donnie, what do you got for us this week?
Plays of the week here. I love it. Yeah, we are on fire on this one. So let's take a look here at what I have for this week. And the Colts -2.5 makes a lot of sense. If you just looked at this line today and you're an average handicapper, you just ask your dad, your mom, whoever, hey, by the way, who do you like in this game? It's a -2.5 point favorite. And they go, oh, New England Patriots favored by 2.5. I think, no. It's the Colts favored by 2.5, and I agree with it. Colts are going to get that job done here. If we flip it over to the Bills and the Panthers, I'm going to go under 45. Josh Allen dealing with a foot sprain, ankle sprain, whatever he's got going on there. They'll probably actually hand the football off this week to some running backs, and then we take a look at the other side of the field. Cam Newton, okay. P.J. Walker, okay. Sam Darnold, okay. This game's going under the total of 45. Some snowy, wet, and windy conditions in Buffalo. I'll take that under. And then how about this one? You want a little bit of pain here? I'm taking it. The Texans team total over 16.5, -120. Last 2 starts for Davis Mills, over 300 yards in both games. I believe he combined for 641 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. They'll get to 17 in this game, and I don't even care if they win, boys.
All right, I'll get to mine. Thank you, guys. So I was going to do Colts -2.5. That would have been cool if all four of us did the same play there. But I agree with you guys there. But I wanted to do something different. So obviously we got the Urban Meyers news this past week. A lot of negative news coming out of Jaguars. You know what? I'm going to back that type of news. It's negative. No one's going to really like it. It's going to be potentially the worst two teams matching up. They're both 2-11, so a combined 4-22 in this matchup. But I think the Jaguars roll. Hopefully the Texans hit that 17 points for Donnie, and the Jaguars score 3 or 4 touchdowns to cover this number for me. Next one, moving on. The Cardinals had a very disappointing showing against the Rams the other day. I think Donnie mentioned it. Kyler almost had 400 yards. It was really the interceptions and the turnovers that really put this team back. I think they get right here. I'm not even sure what the number is, but I think they're going to be in the 30s without a doubt against the Lions on Sunday. And then I'm going to go opposite of Dead Press Picks as my favorite play of the week. It's going to be Chargers +3.5. I don't know if this line is still available. It's been going back and forth between 3 and 3.5 all day long, but I still like it at +3. That's what I sent it out to my clients. So give me Chargers +3. I think Herbert sweeps Mahomes this year.
All right, Wizard, we will head to the questions. Donnie, you taking these this week? Because I was struggling last week.
Yeah, why not? Let's get after it. Yeah. So I'll take these 4 questions for fun. Let's get started, boys. First one right now. Should we wait to place bets due to the COVID news? AC, I'm going to start with you first here. I don't know how you bet early in the week, so give us something that you figure like, hey, what can help the people out here with all this COVID going around?
Yeah, there's no way you can bet early in the week. If you are, you're really just playing yourself. I know there's a lot of value when you try to get on lines early, but this is not a normal year. This hasn't been a normal 2 seasons now. Definitely my recommendation is wait until before kickoff before making that call.
It is tough. Also, keep in mind, people, you can bet these games while they're in game as well. So if you don't like it before it starts, if you see a guy gets banged up, you can make that move. Let's get to the next question over there, Wizard. What do we got today? All right, boys. Can the Patriots really win without Tom Brady? Alpha Dog Bets, you're a Giants fan. You know how to beat Tom Brady. Give us the scenario here. Can the Patriots really win without Tom?
Well, I think this is more, does this mean for this week or for the Super Bowl? In regards to this week, I think they definitely can win. I definitely like the Colts in this matchup. But if they can win the Super Bowl, I definitely think they can get it done without Brady. Belichick is the best coach in the game. He always knows how to take away the team's best players. So never count that man out. I think it's possible.
All right, let's get to question number 3 over there, Wizard. See what happens with this one. And guess what? Who do we think was going to win the MVP? We'll rapid fire this one all the way around. AC, take a look at this one. You have Tom Brady, -150 to win the MVP. Anybody else out there who we looking at who has a possibility of maybe jumping in there?
It's Tom Brady or no one for me, but it's at this point you've kind of lost its value, right? Tom Brady, when I mentioned it to a couple buddies, I think week 3 or week 4 was +500, +550. I think that was the great value back then. Now, honestly, the value could be Aaron Rodgers. There are some injury concerns there, but if he does play 15 to 16 of the 17 possible games and they finish first place, he has to be in contention.
All right, MVPs. Now, you know Daniel Jones can't be an MVP here, Alpha. So who are you looking at this is Tom Brady's to lose because if they win out, he's probably going to get her. How about Aaron Rodgers? I mean, come on now. Right there.
I think it's Mike Lennon. He's put on such a good performance the last 2 weeks now. I think it's Rodgers has the best chance to catch Brady. Brady's the clear number 1 right now. But if the Packers get that number 1 seed, I don't see how he can't be in the conversation. Right now, FanDuel has his future at a +500 to win the MVP. Not bad for a light toss on that. I think that's not a bad play.
Dad, help us out here. Break some of these ties here. Tom Brady's win or lose, or somebody else getting in there?
Yeah, Tom Brady wins it, I think, unfortunately, because, from a betting standpoint at this point, it's like -165, right? So there's really no value at this point hopping in. You guys alluded to it. I think the only guy who has any chance of catching him is Aaron Rodgers. But, I mean, hey, there's still a lot of football left to be played. If the Packers do get that number 1 seed, then I actually do think it should be Rodgers. So I would throw something on Rodgers right now at +500.
Yeah, both of those guys. And again, there's a lot of COVID to go around. Keep in mind, Aaron Rodgers already got it. Tom Brady comes down with it. He loses 2 games at the end of the season. That's going to make a really big difference here. But again, an easy schedule here for Tampa Bay. If they clinch that 1 seed, probably going to be Tom Brady. The Wizard already jumped the gun there. Put it up for us. Will the Bills make the playoffs? In AC, as I say to myself, you goddamn right they make it. What do you think?
I am not a big believer of the Bills. I think they come into each game disadvantaged from a coaching perspective. I think from a talent perspective, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. Offense, defense, they have a top-tier quarterback, which is what you need to make the playoffs. But I just think sometimes that head coach there, I can't even remember his name. He looks like he's overmatched. I think the game sometimes moves too fast for him. Yeah, McDermott. He's a great guy, but I don't know. Can he compete with the Belichicks of the world? Can he compete with the Andy Reids of the world? Bruce Arians? I'm not sure right now.
Yeah, I got a ticket in my pocket for them to get to win the AFC Championship, the Super Bowl, and Josh Allen have an MVP. You know what's going on in my house right now. But that's the questions, Wizard. Fantastic stuff. All 4 of them out the door.
Beautiful. All right, Dead Press Picks. Are you able to close this out this week? It is going to be an amazing, awesome week. Thank you so much, BMR.
Yes, sir. Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you to BMR for everything. Again, our family at BMR, for Alpha, AC, Donnie. Thank you, everybody who tuned in this week. Let's crush it this week. Keep your eyes on that COVID news, guys. Take your time placing your bets. And let's get a sweep here, boys, for the best bets.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you, guys.
Peace, guys.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.